Okay, so picture this. It's the Cold War, right? And tensions are, well, they're about as high as they could possibly be. Alarms are going off, red lights are flashing, and you're staring at a screen that's telling you the world is about to end. Nuclear attack incoming.
Can't imagine a more stressful situation.
Not really, no.
Right.
So do you trust the machine or that deep down feeling that something just isn't right?
Tough call.
It is a tough call. That's the dilemma that two men faced on opposite sides of the world back in 1983.
I'm already hooked. Tell me more.
And we're gonna. Today we're diving into this LinkedIn article by Jagdeep Rekhraj, and it explores this whole idea, the power of human intuition, even in this world where we're driven by tech. The title, it really got me. If not for the intuition of these two men in 1983, the world would have ended in a blinding flash and gigantic fireball of fury.
Certainly makes you wonder what if.
It really does. So Rekhraj kicks things off with these two almost unbelievable stories. The first one is about Stanislav Petrov, a Soviet officer who's stationed near Moscow. It's September 26, 1983, and Petrov, he's on duty when the unthinkable happens.
Oh boy, here we go.
Right. Alarms blaring, lights flashing, and the computer system, it's indicating that multiple U.S. missiles, they're inbound.
This was it. This was the moment Petrov had trained for, the very reason that system existed.
Exactly. And protocol was crystal clear at this point. Immediate action was required. But here's where it gets interesting. Petrov, he hesitates.
Wow. You have to wonder what was going through his mind at that moment. The weight of, everything on his shoulders?
Absolutely. But Petrov later said something about the situation just felt, off to him. He described it as like a gut feeling, that the alarm, it was wrong. So he deviated from protocol, delayed the report while they desperately tried to figure out what was going on. Minutes must have felt like lifetimes.
And as we know, no missiles ever came. It turned out to be a massive false alarm, a system malfunction. And, this wasn't just a close call. It was one of those moments in history that shows just how reliant we had become on technology and how one person's intuition potentially saved the world.
It's incredible. But what's even crazier is that just 2 months later, on the other side of the planet, U.S. Air Force Lieutenant General Leonard Perroots, he found himself in an eerily similar situation.
Wait, are you serious? As if ripped from the pages of a Cold War thriller, the parallels are truly striking.
Right. It's like a real-life echo. So radar systems are going haywire, this time indicating a Soviet missile launch. Perroots, just like Petrov, facing immense pressure to retaliate.
And like Petrov, Perroots had years of experience under his belt. He had a deep understanding of Soviet tactics, and I bet he also sensed that something just wasn't adding up.
He did. He delayed the response, pushed for further investigation, bought them some very precious time. Another technical glitch, another disaster averted.
Wow, two men on opposite sides of a global conflict, both trusting their gut over sophisticated technology. It really makes you think.
It really does. And Rekhraj really emphasizes that this wasn't just blind luck. It was this combination of experience, pattern recognition, and the ability to pick up on those subtle details that technology, it just missed. It really does make you think. It's a fascinating question, and one that, Rekhraj seems particularly concerned about.
Yeah, and he argues that while we've come a long way since the Cold War, technologically speaking, of course, our reliance on those advancements, it might be backfiring a little. We're becoming a bit too reliant on them, and maybe, just maybe, we're losing those instincts that, saved us back in 83.
It's like we're constantly plugged in, just bombarded with information, letting algorithms make more and more decisions for us.
Exactly. We rely on these algorithms for everything these days, filtering our news, guiding our investments, even diagnosing illnesses. And while these tools, they can be incredibly powerful, Rekhraj argues that blindly trusting them, without engaging our critical thinking and our intuition, it could be risky business.
So we're trading our own judgment for the convenience of technology. Is that what we're doing?
In a way, yeah. He actually draws a parallel to those Cold War close calls, suggesting that overdependence on AI and algorithms, it creates blind spots, you see. These errors that a human eye, a human mind, we might be able to catch those.
So it's those nuances, right? The ones that we can pick up on that the machines miss.
Exactly. And it's interesting. So he uses a former war correspondent, Thierry Funk-Brentano, as an example. He interviewed this guy for the article, and Funk-Brentano, he actually takes annual tech-free retreats to the Sahara Desert.
Wow. Now that's a digital detox. Can't remember the last time I went a full day without checking my phone.
It's an extreme example, for sure, but it illustrates Rekhraj's point perfectly. It's about finding ways to just step away from the constant digital noise. to reconnect with our own internal compass, that gut feeling.
And you can really see this resonated with Rekraj. I mean, he even put together some practical tips for incorporating tech breaks into our lives.
Yeah.
We'll dive into those a little later, but it's clear he sees these breaks as, I don't know, essential for maintaining a healthy balance with technology.
Which we could all use a little more of, right?
Absolutely. So it's not about ditching our devices entirely, right? It's about being a little more mindful about how we use them. Maybe even scheduling some tech-free time, to reconnect with our own inner wisdom, which honestly I think most of us could benefit from.
Couldn't agree more. And Rekraj suggests things like navigating without GPS, learning hands-on skills, really anything that forces you to slow down, engage with the world directly, and, rely on your senses, your judgment.
It's like we're hitting the reset button.
Yeah.
Giving our brains a chance to actually, process everything without all the noise.
Yeah, exactly. And the best part is you don't need a one-way ticket to the Sahara to do it. Rekraj, he actually offers some really practical tips, small things that we can all do to start flexing those intuition muscles again.
Okay, so what are we waiting for? Give us the rundown.
Well, he talks about, the importance of those tech breaks. Setting aside some specific time to disconnect. Could be an hour in the evening, maybe a whole day on the weekend, whatever works for you.
That's funny. I actually tried a mini tech break last weekend. Put my phone away for a whole afternoon. It was amazing. I actually noticed how many birds were singing in my neighborhood. Usually I'm walking around, headphones in, totally oblivious.
It's those little things, right? Those moments of awareness, they make all the difference. Rekraj, he suggests using those tech breaks to engage your hands, your mind in different ways. Things like gardening, cooking, even just going for a walk in nature. No headphones, no distractions, just you and your surroundings.
In fact, we have to relearn how to just be sometimes.
Yeah.
To connect with our senses and tap into that deeper level of awareness.
You got it. And the more we do it, the more we strengthen those neural pathways, those intuitive muscles that honestly we might not even realize we're neglecting. And listen, it's not about becoming anti-technology, right? It's about a healthier relationship with it, recognizing that it's a tool to enhance our lives, not to run them.
So to wrap things up, what does this all mean for you listening? What really resonated with you today? What makes you feel more connected, more in tune with your own instincts? Maybe it's time to try a tech break, even if it's just for an afternoon. Put down the phone, step away from the screen, and just see what you discover. You might be surprised at what comes up when you give your intuition a little space to breathe.
At the very least, you'll probably find a little more peace and balance in your life. And honestly, who couldn't use a little more of that these days?
Couldn't agree more. That's all the time we have for today's deep dive. Until next time, thanks for listening.